Ciao e benvenuto. I'm Eben, and this is Texas Motorbike Adventures. We're on a beautiful Sunday, and the weather's like 74, which is pretty good for right now. We're about to get into some summer temperatures, which are going to be lots of fun. But today, we're going to go and take a ride down the Bankhead Highway. And here's a little background information on that. Bankhead Highway was one of the nation's earliest transcontinental highways. Its beginnings can be traced back to 1916, when the Bankhead Highway Association was organized to promote the highway's development. Road extended from Washington, D.C. to San Diego, California. Its path crossed approximately 850 miles of Texas, passing through Texarkana, Mount Vernon, Dallas, Fort Worth, Abilene, Midland, Van Horn, and El Paso, roughly following today's US 67 and US 80. So we're right here outside of Weatherford. So this kind of goes through Weatherford and down through Millsap, up around into Mineral Wells, back down Palo Pinto and Metcalf Gap, and then finally ends up in Strawn, the part of it that we're going to go to today. So it's a nice little chunk. Once known as the Broadway of America, the Bankhead Highway's impact on hundreds of Texas communities, from colossal cities to tiny towns, remains evident to this day. Upon completion of the highway in the 20s, businesses and attractions specifically catered to motorists emerged along the transcontinental roadway, which stretched across Texas from Texarkana to El Paso. Fortunately, many of these resources remain intact today. In Texarkana, the historic route along 7th Street is lined with 40s, 50s, and 60s motels, restaurants, and gas stations built for those traveling by car. Similarly, in the 20s, the Broadbank Highway traversed the Deep Elm neighborhood in Dallas along Commerce Street. Today, the neighborhood retains many of the gas stations, garages, and dealerships dating to that era. In Abilene, South 1st Street contains one of the best collections of historic motels from the 30s through the 60s along the entire highway's path in Texas. So, pretty cool, the Bankhead Highway. So I'm going to hit a bunch of these little places. They got some markers and different stuff like that we can take some photographs of and shoot some video and whatnot. But we're going to take the Ducati, and it's going to be a really good time. So we'll see you in a little while. Ciao. In front of the Millsap Community Center in Millsap, and Millsap was established as a relay station on the stagecoach route that ran from Weatherford to Palo Pinto. The town was named for Fuller Millsap, who moved to Texas in 1849 and to Parker County in 1856. The Millsap post office opened in 1877. In 1880, the tracks of the Texas and Pacific Railway arrived. By the 1890s, Millsap was serving area farmers as a retail and shipping point. Within a decade, the town had a bank, more than a dozen other businesses, 3 churches, a 10-grade educational institution called Millsap College, and a weekly newspaper, the Millsap News. The community population increased from an estimated 100 in 1890 to 800 in 1920. Following World War II, however, Millsap declined, reaching a low of 261 in 1968. In 1988, 412 residents were reported, and in 1990, an estimated 485 residents lived there. By 2000, the population dropped to 353, and it's 2020 now, so there's not a whole lot going on here. Here, turn it around so you can have a look. How do you turn this thing back around again? Okay. All right. Anyways, much. There's a little store over there, some houses, not quite a whole lot going on here. So, but that's it. This is Millsap. So, hold on a minute. All right. So now we are headed to Mineral Wells. All right. See you there. Okay, we're in Mineral Wells now, and behind me is the Baker. The Baker was opened around 1929, like right before the stock market crashed. And it's based on a hotel that my friend and I stayed at this last year in Hot Springs, Arkansas, called the Arlington. But the Baker, they're doing a renovation on it, so you can tell back there that the windows are all out. They're replacing a bunch of them and going to turn it back into a spa and a hotel, and it'd be really cool if it was a casino too. Anyway, that's probably going to take a year or two to get that done, but we'll see. Anyway, so here's a little background on Mineral Wells. The city is named for the mineral wells, the mineral springs in the area, which were highly popular in the early 1900s. In 1919, Mineral Wells hosted the spring training camp for the Chicago White Sox, the year of the famous Black Sox scandal involving shoeless Joe Jackson. Mineral Wells also hosted spring training for the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1910s and 1920s. The baseball field was located in the center of town where a shopping center now sits. 1952, Mineral Wells was the host of the Republican State Convention, in which delegates divided between presidential candidates Dwight D. Eisenhower and Senator Robert A. Taft. Though State Chairman Orville Bullington of Wichita Falls led the Taft forces, the convention vote ultimately went 35-5 in favor of Eisenhower, who was thereafter nominated and elected. So I'm sure there's way cooler stuff about Mineral Wells than that. I will find some. Anyways, we're going to head towards Palo Pinto now, and I'll put in a bunch of information about Mineral Wells. Pretty cool little town. About halfway dried up now, but maybe when the Baker comes back, they legalize some gambling, it'd be a hopping little spot. Well, it's only about 20 miles or 20 some odd miles off of I-20, so it's got a crazy back history. You gotta check it out. Mineral Wells, Texas. All right, see you in a little bit.